Welcome back to the channel. I'm just giving a quick update here. I've got some things cranking in the garden. You can see my beehive, my hive box up there in the tree, trying to attract a bee swarm because it is swarming season right now, but I haven't had any luck yet. Hopefully I'll get something. But yeah, I've got some, I'm going to plant some of these. Can't really, it's probably backwards for you, Thai soldier beans, which are in the asparagus bean family, like the yard-long beans and whatnot. And then I'm going to plant some more. I've been trying to grow these Christmas lima beans, and I had actually sprouted right there, and it's already climbing up this remesh panel here. But I've been trying to plant them along over here, and only that one came up. But I'm gonna try again because I want them to grow over here so they can climb up this panel. This is the hardy kiwi that just can't seem to get going. I don't know what the issue is with it. Hopefully this will make me some beans so that we can try them and then also store them. I'm pretty sure these can handle heat, but that's what they look like. And so I'm gonna stick it in over here, although it's amazing to me that it just rained today and some yesterday, and this over here still feels dry, and I just cannot get my soil to retain moisture. See, it's a little bit better when you dig down, but on top it's already dry. So I'd like to get those going. And I took down the ube yam that was growing over here, but as you can see, if you don't get every single last piece of it, it will come back. I can't get the whole thing up, it's kind of stuck down in there, but I'll do that for now. I have a big one that's over under this cherry tree. We've already actually harvested parts of it because it started to come up out of the ground right over here. You can see it's starting to sprout again. I need to come out here and dig the rest of that up. That's the stuff that just has come up out of the ground. I don't even know how big it's gotten down in there, but we've already harvested some. This right, I'm telling y'all, this is, if you want to grow some flowers, these are a great choice. This is a purple salvia. Look at the little, where'd he go? Right there, there's a little spider. But this is a great flower. This right here, I seriously, I don't baby it at all, and it has grown. It's at least doubled, if not more, in size. Constantly has blooms. It survived through winter. I covered it when we had some like a night or two that got down to freezing here, and it did just fine. I'm gonna look here and see. So it looks like we got, this is a pretty nasty thing. I would like to get a new rain gauge because this is so small. Like the opening is really small, but it looks like we got about a ½ inch of rain. I've got some blackberries that are starting to come in, and there's a whole bunch of over there. You can see there's already one that's bloomed. I planted a bunch of zinnia, but these sweet potato vines are just, that's another one. If you don't get every single last sweet potato out, like here's one that somehow made it out here. If you don't pull every single last little root out, it will just continue to come up. And I mean, if the root is like that big, if it's like the end of my pinky, it will still come up. So if you don't want, see, like that right there, So here's another example. You can see it's like the size of my thumb, and it came up again. And you can literally pull those up and repot them and have more. These little tomato sprouts in here. I don't know how they'll grow once this bush bean gets a little bit bigger. But yeah, so I mean, the sweet potatoes are just all in here. Some people don't even like to grow sweet potatoes because they can just do like that and take over and become a nuisance. But I mean, it's really one of the survival crops that you can grow here in Florida because it grows so well. So I'm going to plant, there's a yard long bean here that I planted from seed. This one I had tried to start and plant, and it never seems to do as well when you do it from starts. So it always does better when you just direct sow. Again, this section of my garden is really bad about being hydrophobic. Even with all this mulch, you would be surprised at just how hydrophobic this is. And I guess it's just from the sun beating on it all day, you know? Because this out here has no shade whatsoever, no protection whatsoever. But yeah, I got these Thai soldier beans. These are ones that I kept from ones that I grew in the past. They're easy. Beans and peas are easy to keep. Let them dry out, and that's what they look like there. They're kind of speckled. These usually grow really well. I'm gonna go ahead and dump those right there. Just put all three of them in. It's better to plant more than you think you want and then thin it out than it is to only plant, you know. That was the roots of that one that I tried to start, but it just wasn't doing well. It's better to plant more than you think you want and then thin it out than it is to plant just, you know, one and hope that it comes up. So I had put 3 right there because that's what fell out. There's 6 right there. I'm gonna put that whole thing right there, and then because I know that probably some of them won't even germinate, you know, and then so out of those 6, if I have 3 that come up, then that will be good. So yeah, always do that. No matter what you're planting, always plant more than you think that you need or more than you think that you want, and then that way it accounts for failure to germinate. And you can also, when they come up, you find the ones that look the healthiest and, you know, get rid of the rest. You can either just pull out the ones that you want to thin out, or you can cut them and leave the roots in the ground to rot in the soil. But yeah, that you always want to basically think of overplanting. Plant like more than you think you need, and then thin it out, because you never know if, you know, all of the seeds that you plant are going to germinate or not. You never know if it's going to germinate but not be a very healthy a plant, all that sort of stuff. And then you can always go in and thin out and keep the ones that look the best. Got some summer squash over here. I planted some summer squash here and over here, but for some reason none of these over here have germinated. I just used my broad fork to till this up and this over here, and I put some fertilizer down. So I don't know, I may have to go back and replant. This Spanish needle's getting thick over here. I need to use that to chop and drop. The pigeon peas are kind of slowing down now. This one is starting to leaf out again. I may come out and hard prune these because they're getting tall. This one, I'm wondering if it's not going to make it, because Like a lot of these are dry limbs and it's not leafing out again like my other two plants are. I mean, these are about 3-year-old plants, and these only last for 3 to 4 years if you can, basically, if you're lucky. I was excited about this African potato mint right here. I thought that it was dead, but it just went dormant when we got down to some frost, and it's coming back up right there and right there. So both the plants that I have, and it looks like something got right there that looks like potato mint too. I may have somehow put one there, I don't remember, but yeah, this potato mint, I'm anxious to try it, and I've also heard that it likes growing in mulch. So this area is fairly decently mulched. It's kind of thinned out from the last time that I mulched it. But I need to come over here. This this little sign, that's Sam Singleton's handwriting there, I think. That's where I bought these potato mints. If you're not doing anything this Saturday, come out to Sam's place, Scrubland Farmz, up in Fort McCoy, Florida. He's having another, like a spring scrub fest. A whole bunch of speakers are going to be there. David the Good's going to be the MC. A friend of mine, Sam, his name is Sam Igo. He's going to be there speaking about syntropic food forests and syntropic agriculture and that sort of thing, which I'm looking forward to that, because that has gotten my interest. So yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch. There's going to be a speaker on all about moringa trees. There's going to be a speaker about using food over pharmaceuticals, all kinds of things. I don't remember how many speakers there are going to be. I want to say there's like 10 to 15 speakers. I believe the event starts at 8. I don't know when the last speaker goes on. But yeah, if you go on Scrubland Farmz, just search it, go on the website, buy a ticket. It's $20 in advance, $25 at the gate. So if you don't want to buy a ticket ahead of time, you can buy a ticket at the gate. It'll be $5 extra. And then plus you also get to buy some really awesome plants from Sam. He's always got a good stock. He's always got some plants that you can't find anywhere else, and his prices are super reasonable. You can find more rare fruit plants, your common fruit trees, and your herbs and stuff like that. You can also find Florida natives, all that sort of stuff, and it's all very, very reasonably priced, and always in really good shape. He takes care of his stuff, and it's just, really nice guy. So yeah, it's always a good time. If you've got time to come out Saturday, I'll be there. So yeah, if you're there and you happen to see me, come say hi. I'm excited about this right here though. My Simpson stopper is finally flowering. Speaking of Scrubland Farmz, this is where I bought this. This was not last October, but the October before last, I think, I bought this Simpson stopper. So it's a little over a year old. I mean, I don't know if it's grafted. I don't know if you graft a Simpson stopper, but this is a Florida native plant, and it makes these berries. Everything I've heard says it's good, so I'm interested to try it. Look, there's a little Midas fly right there. People may see those and think that it's a bee or a hornet or something. It's not. It's a Midas fly, completely harmless. And I see a strawberry. These little strawberry plants. It's not ready yet. It's starting to ripen. But yeah, these little strawberry plants. I bought these plants. They're the ones I have up in my wicking bed. I just got those from Rural King, and they have been the best strawberry plants. They don't make, the strawberries get about that big, So I don't know what variety it is. I didn't pay attention. I just planted them. But they consistently make strawberries. And they're very tasty. So this is the Piracicaba broccoli, the Brazilian stem broccoli. It's it's blooming. When you eat broccoli, you're eating the blooms before they become flowers. So I'll probably have to cut these and I'll just freeze them. I didn't think these two plants would ever, I didn't even think they would survive, but they look really good now. And I got these plants from Jera's garden, and you'd have to look that up on Instagram or online. J-E-R-R-A, Jera. She's out of the Orlando area, and she sells a lot of seeds for plants that do well in our climate. And this is a broccoli variety because it can be hard to grow broccoli here. We just don't get enough cold. You have to grow broccoli in the winter here, because if not, it will not. A lot of times by spring, it's way too hot to grow broccoli here. And so even in the fall, some places may be starting to plant broccoli because it's cooling off. It usually doesn't start cooling off here, as you have heard me say, or as you know if you're in Florida. It doesn't normally start cooling off in Florida until maybe November. We'll get some cool air, but even then it's not really that cool. We may be down into the 70s. That's it. So broccoli, like your standard run-of-the-mill broccoli, you've got to grow it in the wintertime here because it likes to have cold weather. This variety here, it first of all make a very large head like normal broccoli does. It grows skinnier heads, and then you can see it coming up down here. It'll grow, that's why it's called stem broccoli. It's thinner stalks, and it comes up. I mean, all broccoli will come up on the stems, but it tolerates heat a lot better. So that's why I wanted to buy it and give it a try, because of that. And I've had success with it. I've gotten some broccoli off of a few plants, so that's one I'll keep in the rotation. I love this little zinnia right here, a little peach colored zinnia. These, if you want to grow flowers, this is another variety that you can grow. It's just so easy to grow zinnias. They almost just, and they'll self-seed themselves, and you know, it's just a really, really good flower to grow. I had planted, this was a while back ago, I'd planted, over here I used to have that keyhole garden, and I moved it because I wasn't using it, and it was just a big weedy mess, and I wanted to plant other things here. But I had planted some of these dewberries, which this is a wild blackberry plant that we have. It's native to Florida. They make really small berries, and they're full of seeds, but they are also full of flavor. Very, very good. They usually grow all along if you're out walking along the edge of a forest or a wooded area, you will normally come in contact with dewberries. You can see, so that's the flower, and then these have flowered and they're starting to form the berries. Now you got to be careful because these things are thorny as all get out, and they will eat you up. But these things are very, very good. And I had dug some up from around my house and planted them here where I had that keyhole garden. And when I took the keyhole garden out, I didn't really think that there was any left. But there's some that, like over here, there's another one right there, and then there's some right over here that I guess survived when I dug it out. And this is the first time, because they've looked really good, this is the first time that they have bloomed, this particular plant. And you know, you really don't have to do anything about dewberries. You just kind of let them do their thing. But I've debated, it looks like it has grown possibly by a runner or something and is starting a new plant here. I'm debating, all out and around my property there are dewberries. There's one section in particular that is just full of dewberry plants, and I've thought about going out and digging those up and bringing them out and putting them underneath, because they can grow in under in the shade underneath trees, which is normally where you find them. So I've thought about going out there and doing that, you know, coming in and putting some underneath here, putting some underneath here, just putting them underneath some of these trees and letting them kind of be a ground cover. They don't always like to be transplanted, so it's a gamble, but you can do it successfully. This is my Thai mulberry. We've almost gotten all the mulberries off of it. This is a great mulberry variety. It really does well here, and probably because we have similar climate conditions to Thailand. I haven't had much luck with mulberries this year because I don't know if Hurricane Milton just stressed the trees out or what. This is one thing I'm really excited about, though. My cherry of the Rio Grande is I'm trying to get, this one's almost ready to be picked. Actually, I think I am going to pick it. I hate using this net like this. I need to get a better one than this. But these things right here are so good. And you need to let them get pretty dark. Actually, that could have used to get even darker than that, but they need to get really dark red, otherwise they're sour. But when they're nice and dark, like here's one up here, there's some down here though. When they start to get dark like that, they still have a tart, like a little bit of a tart bite to them, but to me, they taste just like a cherry Jolly Rancher. They're so good. And there'll be one or two little like hard seeds on the inside. Kind of feels like a nut. These are not actual cherries. These are not like your, Bing cherry, Rainier cherry, anything like that. They're not a stone fruit in that family with cherries and plums and peaches and stuff like that. These are a tropical cherry variety. I don't remember what the family is, but this tree has done very well. Now they're kind of slow growing, but it has been happy this whole time. I put it here, which is always a plus in my land, because it's so hard. My soil is so poor, but this tree has really been happy here. I would say that it's kind of bent over right now. It will be not quite 6 feet yet, but almost there. And it was probably half this size when I bought it. It's definitely worth, if you can find cherry of the Rio Grande, I highly recommend buying one and planting it, because it does very well. If it does well in my soil, it's probably going to do well in anyone's soil in Florida. It does not like cold, though. It does not like freezing. I've protected this past winter. I actually put a 5-gallon bucket filled with water up next to the tree. It's even better if you've got like a 55-gallon drum. Fill it with water and put it next to the tree, and then cover the tree, because the water temperature changes in water slower than in the air. So that's why if it was, really cold air and you got into a body of water, it would still be cold, but it would be less cold than the air, because it takes a lot longer and a lot more energy to chill or heat water. So when you put water in a bucket or in a barrel or something like that and put it next to a tree and then cover that tree, then at night what happens is, when the air drops really fast and really cold, the water in that drum does not get as cold, and so it radiates some heat off of it. You got to put it right up next to the tree, but it will radiate heat, and with that cover over the tree, it's radiating heat and getting trapped inside the whatever you've used to cover it, the blanket, whatever it is. And that helps. The blanket also helps to keep the frost off, but that radiating water temperature helps to just keep it warmer inside there. Now, if you don't cover the tree with that bucket or whatever you have in there, it's not going to work, because the heat will just rise up and be gone. But if you cover the bucket or the drum and the tree, then that radiating heat will get trapped under that cover. It will stay a little bit warmer underneath there and keep the tree from freezing. So I learned that yet another tip that I learned from David the Good. So and it works. It kept that, like that cherry of the Rio Grande, they don't like freezing at all because they're tropical. I did that with that cherry of the Rio Grande, and it didn't, I don't even think any of the leaves got burned, so it did really well, and got cherries to show for it. And yeah, seriously, if you live in like South Florida, you don't really have to worry about that. You shouldn't have to worry about, something like cherry of the Rio Grande would do really well. But where I am, I'm somewhat pushing the zone, because I'm in 9B, unless they've changed the zones again. I'm in 9B, so I'm kind of pushing the zone when it comes to cherry of the Rio Grande, some of the other tropical cherries, just tropical fruit in general. Some of them are more cold hardy and I can get away with it. Some of them I have to really be careful when it's wintertime and we get any frost here. I've really got to be careful to protect it. Alfonso mango tree is doing really well. It's recently put out some new leaves. I've got a family member who has a fruiting mango tree, and what I'm thinking about doing is going and getting a cutting from that mango tree and field grafting it onto this to see if I can get some mangoes. And I don't like Alfonso mangoes, so if I can graft on a better variety, I will do that. You can see down here I've recently chopped and dropped some of the golden rain tree. It's a great chop and drop tree. I know I just recently made a video about that, but it is a great chop and drop tree. It grows quickly and it will take over an area if you're not careful, but you can use all this material. I did the same thing under this Thai smallberry. This Thai smallberry is growing like a weed, which I'm happy about, but again, it really didn't make any berries. But yeah, same thing under here. I chopped and dropped some of that down there. But I don't know what exactly happened with my mulberry trees this year. I don't think it's the cold weather that we had, because we've had cold weather before and the mulberries produced just fine the next spring. So I don't know. I don't know if like I said, when Hurricane Milton came through and we took basically a direct hit here, I don't know if that stressed them out and so they just didn't produce as much. I don't know, but they didn't do as well. I may try to do the trick with the everbearing mulberries where you like halfway prune them and then strip the leaves off, and then when it pushes new growth, it pushes more berries. But I don't know, there's a part of me that doesn't really want to prune any of my mulberries. Let them just, because I want them to grow a little bit bigger, so let them just take off for now. Looks like Yapon holly is got new leaves coming out. This is a daikon radish that I'm just letting, it's making seeds, so I'm letting it go to seed. But these are pretty, I think they're pretty non-picky. And this is another Florida native. Got that from Scrubland Farmz. I got this beautyberry from Scrubland Farmz. This is a Florida native. You can find beautyberry literally growing in any wooded area in Florida, and I mean any wooded area. But this, I was worried because it did not look good for a while, and then in wintertime it really didn't look good. But now it is really happy, so I'm guessing it had just started to go dormant. My pineapple guava, which I've found out is not an actual guava, but it's happy over here. It's constantly got new leaves coming out. It tends to be a little bit slow growing as well, but that's all right. One thing I'm frustrated with is these cocoa plums. They've gotten very tall. I mean, they've got to be well over 6 feet tall, but they just won't make fruit. I don't understand that. I don't know what the issue is, why they won't make any fruit. I've never seen it flower. I've never seen anything. It's just they're happy over here. They're growing really well, but it's not fruiting, and I can't figure out why. I don't know if it's just not the right climate here or what. But if they don't fruit, and they're not going to, then I'm probably going to get rid of them. And my soursop tree, this is another tree that you have to be really careful, especially in the area that I am. I have to be careful because this is a true tropical, and it does not like cold weather. So we had a couple, like I said, a couple of nights that it got down to freezing here. And I just cut that branch off because all the leaves had just suddenly died right there. These are all doing okay. It's mulched pretty heavily, so the roots should be protected. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what it does. I think it's okay. But something like that, if you're in Zone 9B, you've got to be careful, because we do get cold weather enough here to kill tropical plants. Doesn't mean you can't grow them. It just means you have to be very protective of them. For instance, my mame that I have over here, I have no plans on putting that in the ground. I am gonna eventually buy a very, very large, like, terracotta pot, and that's gonna be its permanent home. That way, if I need to, I can always move it to get it out of the cold. But I do not want to ever put it in the ground, because it will it really, really does not like cold weather. So anyways, I just hadn't made a video in a little while. Thought I would make a quick video. I don't remember if the last goji berries that I bought they had these at Sam's, and I bought them, and they were like a bare root type thing, but they were already coming back. I wasn't sure if it was even going to do anything, but they're doing really well. So eventually I'm going to plant these in the ground. I've heard that they don't mind having some shade, so I'm going to find a place to put them up under some trees. So yeah, and I just noticed one of the shampoo gingers that I planted here is coming up. So, oh, there's another one right there. So I'll probably sell these, because I have a whole bunch of shampoo ginger, and I'm excited about this here. These are called Tamarillo tree tomato, and they finally have germinated, and I am excited about it, and I am hoping that I can keep them alive, because I really, really want to try them. I have heard that they are, basically like a tomato, but it grows on a tree. And so yeah, here's a moringa that came up from a seed. But anyways, that's all I've got for today. And yeah, I just haven't been on in a little while. I thought I would just hop on really quick. And yeah, so like I said, Saturday, Scrubland Farmz, Fort McCoy, Florida. I believe it starts at 8 o'clock. Come out and hear a bunch of good speakers, buy a bunch of good plants, and just have a good time with a bunch of fellow gardeners and food foresters. And it's always a great time. He's got other than the speakers, he usually has a bunch of people with different merchandise, and he usually has like food trucks that come in, and he has stuff usually set up for kids. If you want to bring your kids, he usually has like some, I don't know if he'll have any like water games or anything, because it's actually going to be a little chilly up there. But he'll bring like a bounce house or something like that out there for the kids. So yeah, it's a good time. So like I said, if you're there and you see me and recognize me, come over and say hey. And yeah, anyways, I'll catch you all later.